Microsoft owns Windows. And for those of you who don't know, Windows is the most used desktop operating system in the entire world. More people use Windows than they use Mac OS, and way more than they use Linux or FreeBSD or any other operating system under the sun. Windows is here, and it'll always be here to stay. As long as graphic technologies, games, software, a lot of it is built primarily for Windows, nothing else is really going to come in to sort of move it away.
Oh, download, yay!
Really popular in the
My internet was out.
Governments. So of course, in some cases, it's going to be here to stay. Now, of course, that's a whole separate topic on its own. Because Microsoft owns Windows and also owns Internet Explorer, what do you think they bundled together?
Internet Explorer died.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you installed Windows, you got the venereal disease that is also known as Internet Explorer. In the original days of the browser war, if you will, Microsoft 1996 as a little-known guy, standing next to the massive behemoth that was known as Netscape Navigator. And, of course, other devices as well, too. Not really that important. But, of course, as Microsoft's dominance grew, their dominance in the Internet Explorer space grew so massively that they became one of the most de facto browsers ever.
Oh.
And, of course, Microsoft was the, target of a bunch of antitrust lawsuits at this time. For instance, at some point during Microsoft Corp versus United States, way back in 2001, ladies and gentlemen, the plaintiffs alleged that Microsoft had abused monopoly power on Intel-based personal computers in its handling of operating systems and browser integration.
I had internet issues.
Microsoft was allowed to bundle its flagship Internet Explorer web browser software with its Windows operating system. Bundling them is alleged to have been responsible for Microsoft's victory in the browser wars, as every Windows user had a copy of Internet Explorer. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, back in the day, if you were a web browsing company and you wanted to go up against Microsoft Internet Explorer, it was probably easier for you to discover another...
My internet was out for 2 days. Yesterday I could have streamed, but I was way too tired to do it.
Microsoft was a loser's game. You were never going to win. It was always a losing case. And even when the United States government jumped in and sort of put a leash on Microsoft, it was too little too late. Because by that point, the entire competition was already smoldering. Okay, it was done. It was dead. Now, in a lot of cases, you can actually use Internet Explorer today. For instance, I just made a...
Wait, what are you saying?
Windows Vista Virtual Machine. And you know what? Before we continue, I'm just going to say for the record, I think Windows Vista is awesome. And if you don't agree with me, well, we have to agree to disagree. This operating system, it is what it is. But this operating system was one of the last few times that it came bundled with Internet Explorer. So over here, it takes us to Internet Explorer. And if you actually look at the version history for this, this is Internet Explorer 7. It's actually quite more recent than when Microsoft was at that peak, right? This is 7.0, 6,016,386. Can you still browse the internet today? Absolutely. You can type in my channel, for instance, Some Ordinary Gamers. And you can actually find that they've had some pretty interesting photos. I'm actually still connected to
Nice.
Google will function on something this old, because Google has a lot of, I would say, what are we going to talk about? Backwards compatibility towards this kind of stuff. Of course, you can see Google is a little limited. I can only see videos, images, and news. For instance, if I see images of myself, you can absolutely spot them. If I look at videos of my channel, I can actually go to youtube.com. I can continue to the website. And unfortunately, because YouTube requires something a little more recent, it's probably going to tell me, hey dumbass, can you please use a browser that's actually more well known? In fact, I don't even think it's loading anything, just display the blocked content. Of course, super old sites like milk.com, established 1994, work just fine. Does the universe exist? Apparently. And of course, these are websites that you can dig up right now. A lot of the older websites that haven't been updated work just fine under old Internet Explorer. Anything new? Good luck with that. In fact, this operating system alone, unfortunately, isn't even supported by most of the updated browsers these days, okay? So if you try to install Firefox, I think the newest version onto this, it ain't gonna work. And if you try to install Chrome, I don't think it's gonna work on Vista 32-bit like I have. I also have Netscape Navigator, which died to Internet Explorer back in the day, but as you can imagine, this doesn't connect at all, okay? It actually is a very, very, very buggy browser. Of course, if you ever wanted to see a whole browser map, here it is, right here, ladies and gentlemen. You can see a whole bunch of browsers established back in 1990, and some of them have survived all the way up to 2022. But of course, browser technology started to convert. So as somebody in South Korea puts up the Internet Explorer gravestone, yes, this is actually real. He was a good tool to oh, that is so true.
Wait, what did it say? He was a good tool to download other browsers.
Yes, this is actually real. He was a good tool to oh, that is so true. Yes. Now, to understand what happened during the first browser war was Microsoft actually won. Microsoft completely won the first war. They had the highest market share, and basically they decided to sit on their laurels. Now, at this point, this sparked what was known as the second browser war. Now, in nerd terms, I know this is getting really nerdy, okay, but trust me, it gets good. When the second browser war happened, effectively what it started to form was as Microsoft was sitting back doing nothing at all, people realized, actually not realized, people knew Internet Explorer sucked. It was covered with bugs. It was covered with security issues. It basically never even supported Linux. And I think it at some point abandoned Mac users for some reason. Microsoft didn't realize that, hey guys, at some point people are going to be watching things on their mobile devices. Did not care whatsoever. So at this point, because Microsoft was complacent, effectively a bunch of other people in the Silicon Valley tech game worked together and started the second war. They launched an attack, if you will, a three-pronged attack. Apple, for instance, developed WebKit, which they got from KDE, which then later became the basis for Chromium and Google Chrome as we know today. Mozilla Firefox basically took the dying code from Netscape and decided to create Project Phoenix, where they would rise from the ashes, rebuild Firefox, and lead into a promised world of web browsing. You also had groups like the Web Hypertext Application Technology Working Group that sought to create updated versions of HTML, new internet technologies that would actually better the internet rather than whatever Microsoft wanted. But then what happened was 2008. 2008, Google Chrome.
The recession.
And Google wasn't fucking around. Google actually wanted to create a new browser where they could have more than just static web pages like milk.com, no offense. They wanted true cross-platform engines. They wanted to turn the entire world, not just web page, but web-based applications, which is something Microsoft had never even dreamed of. Of course, as you can imagine, all these rapid advancements in technologies, Google, Apple, Firefox, all of these massive groups getting together ultimately spelled the death knell for Microsoft Internet Explorer. Now, Microsoft Internet Explorer has been dead for a long time, and in fact, this recent news wasn't going to affect anyone, because less than 0.4% of people ever even use Internet Explorer even recently. In fact, the only people that I know are actually worried are governmental groups, specifically those in Japan, who are right now going, oh god, what are we going to do? They got rid of Internet Explorer. How are our old asses going to send shit to the fax machine? Yes, in some parts of Japan, governmental organizations, financial organizations, did in fact use Microsoft Internet Explorer, which absolutely scares the piss out of me. Even Microsoft's head of cybersecurity, Chris Jackson, at some point told you, hey, if you're still using Internet Explorer in the year 2019, you might want to be careful. We only kept it in there for people to test old school websites. If you're still using this shit, understand it's not really supported. And what it means not really supported is that Microsoft Internet Explorer was prone to so many security bugs, so many security exploits, that using it on the internet was basically trying to fuck $20 ass without any form of protection. Not an ideal situation, not a good thing, definitely not healthy. He was a little bit more kinder than my terminology, but I think the point still stands. Be careful. Update your web browsers. I made a whole video on browser exploitation. Keep an updated browser, okay? Alright, if you don't have an updated browser, you're susceptible to exploitation on the internet. What's that, alright? Basic computer advice. Of course, this all didn't just end out of nowhere. Microsoft is still in the browser game. They actually made something known as Microsoft Edge back in the year 2015. For those of you who don't know what Microsoft Edge is, it was basically Microsoft's rebranding onto Internet Explorer. They wanted to get rid of the name Internet Explorer entirely because, lo and behold, it had a bad connotation attached to it, okay? Microsoft Edge was basically Microsoft's next generation web browser. This is where they use something.
It's fine. I like Microsoft Edge.
Microsoft's own proprietary browsing engine that was in fact built all the way off MS-HTML, which was the Trident engine of Internet Explorer, which, for those of you who don't know, was introduced back in the days of Internet Explorer 4, all the way back in 1997. So yes, this did in fact fact bring Microsoft's technology into the modern age. But again, because it failed and they didn't, sort of consort to a lot of the the web layouts of today, the web regulations, Microsoft decided, you know what, forget all of it, let's just switch to Chromium. Yes, Edge at this point is actually a better version of Google Chrome. Don't believe me? Look at Chromium. Chromium is an open source browser which basically forks into a bunch of very popular browsers. Google Chrome is based off of Chromium. Edge is based off of Chromium. Some of my favorite browsers that I used to use, such as Brave browser, is actually based off of Chromium. You can actually get Edge, which is Chromium based right now, and it actually comes as part of Windows 10 and Windows 11. And in fact, it's actually quite good. Firing it up, it's the exact same experience you would expect from Google Chrome anyways, just in a much less bloated design. On a personal level, I like Edge, okay? Edge for me works because it consumes way less resources, RAM, than I would ever see Google Chrome consume, right? Edge is a lot better in terms of optimizing that aspect. It has a bunch of extra support, and actually, compared to Google, it actually has better privacy support than Google's Chrome browser.
Big
So,
surprise.
yes, if you wanted to use a better version of Chrome, this is it, all right? In my experience, I like Microsoft Edge way more than Google Chrome. And anytime I see somebody downloading Google Chrome with Edge, you're literally downloading Chromium with Chromium. You're downloading inferior Chromium with better Chromium. What's wrong with you? And you know what? Before anybody's like, oh, how much did I pay for you to say that? Anytime I give a W to Microsoft, it takes years off of my life. I am literally in pain congratulating Microsoft, but I'm only doing it because it's straight facts. Even when you compare it to privacy features of tomorrow, the internet has changed. Google themselves actually want to implement something known as Flock, which I don't know how far we're getting into this, but Flock is basically Google's new privacy sandbox, which is a bit scary. According to the
That's
EFF
funny.
right now, who have their own things to say, Flock, which is Federated League of Learning of Cohorts, is Google's way of creating a privacy sandbox, which is trying to basically eliminate the days of third-party cookies, which are some of the worst shit that we've ever had on the internet, but replacing it with a system of profiling that may just be as insidious. Now, of course, that's
cute.
a different story right there. I wanted to make this video to really show you the death of Internet Explorer, and to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wild ride indeed. The era of browser wars, which who knows when the third browser war happens, right? But the era of browser wars is an interesting topic indeed, and Internet Explorer had an important role in it. But Internet Explorer had a massive role in Microsoft's company ethos, if you will, too. Whereas before, they were all about the proprietary, all about locking you down to a framework. Now, Microsoft of today is actually a bit more open than they've ever been. Embracing open source technologies, being part of the solution rather than the problem. And in some respects, you have to really give Internet Explorer and the death of it some actual credit. Because I think it was really that point that shifted Microsoft's entire, ethos as a company. In order to survive, they have to be part of it rather than close their ears, close their eyes, basically pretend that they're in a utopia that they thought they were living in, they thought that they had launched. They now have to actually work with everyone else. So again, it's a rather interesting case, and Internet Explorer was an awesome time. I definitely grew up with it. I was on Newgrounds all the time with it. And I remember making the switch to Furry Fox, to Google Chrome, and detaching myself, decoupling from the Internet Explorer bandwagon. And of course, to see it dead now reminds me how old I actually am. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wild video indeed. I'm glad you stuck all the way to the end. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike, get it, dislike, get on. Hey.
Julie's wearing out.
No babies. Horrible Canadian sues a YouTuber over jokes.
I think the situation is extremely difficult to talk about, but it's also really complicated. This shit is more confusing than the plot to the movie Tenet. So let's just get into it. Let's spread apart these ass cheeks and get into this section here. Quickly with the clip notes on why you should care about this situation and why it's a big deal. There's an absolutely awful comedian named Brendan Schaub who is currently suing a small YouTuber over jokes they made about him. YouTuber lost both of their channels, perhaps because of Schaub, but that's still alleged. If it's true though, then Brendan just gave him the quarter pounder with cheese. Got the double whammy in there. And why this is a big deal is because Brendan Schaub is going after him because of the jokes he made, but also because he showed clips of his podcast in order to make some of the jokes and criticize him, and he's claiming it's not fair use and it's a violation. And obviously, fair use is very important on YouTube and the internet in general. So should this actually go to court and should this clown somehow win, it sets a really bad legal precedent. Now let me get a bit more into the lore of this awful comedian. So there's a terrible comedian named Brendan Schaub, who was a former MMA fighter, and he rose to fame, not really from MMA, though he was very successful there. He came into...
Tom Holland. Let me guess, it's probably true. Oh my god. My man is actually right. Oh my god. I'm literally... Tom Holland. He actually got me. I just got... This guy on my stream, he just rickrolled me without having to rickroll. You've just broken the matrix, my friend. I knew it. I got played like a mofo. Seriously, what is with fair use on YouTube though? It's kind of upsetting, because I definitely I'm pro fair use. God. Oh what? You don't need any more doors. I don't know which. I remember when Penguin. Oh, there's a imp. I remember when Penguin hit a mill. I love this. Thick Boy Media.
The most entertaining thing about Brendan Schaub is when people are making fun of him, because he is the joke. The only comedy he provides to the world is in the form of a punching bag for people to laugh at and joke about.
I can't take comedy.
Allegedly, and I tried to watch one of his stand-up specials. It was fucking miserable. Watching Brendan Schaub desperately trying to fish for the punchline to the joke he's attempting to tell is like watching a dog try and cross the street with oncoming traffic on its way. It's just painful. You just want to look the other way. It's miserable. And half of the stories he tells are blatantly just lies. Like, you can tell he is making it up on the spot in order to one-up someone. Like, I was watching him interact with another blogger, actually, he was talking with Chris D'Elia, and they were talking about being out of gas. And Brendan Schaub just comes out of nowhere and like, raises his hand. Oh, wait, actually, I was out of gas like you guys. See, I actually just won a fight, and after winning a fight and having 15 threesomes, I was in my Hummer H2. You make sure to specify brand new Hummer H2, and I was running low on gas. I was like, I could ride this bitch out, but I couldn't. I ran out of gas. So then I had to, with my Hercules-like strength, push this Hummer myself all the way to the nearest gas station.
Is that the joke? Because I'm...
said, didn't I just see you on TV? Didn't even pay anymore. That was his story. Of course, I embellished it a little bit. My story was, I just want to fight. My brand new Hummer was running out of gas, and I had to solo push it to a gas station where the gas station guy recognized me and said that he... That obviously didn't happen.
That is the worst joke I've ever heard. I'm a person that's... Madigan, there's a guy called Madigan on this comedian, and he's actually a really funny comedian, I'm not gonna lie. He's not like really funny, but he's actually kinda good. Not yet. I'm beginning, guys, I'm beginning. Oh my god, I'm a dumbass. I'm beginning phase 3 construction, which will fabricate the base. Grow up, dude. Like this kid, This guy just went in my YouTube comments and said I look like Tom Holland as a joke. Yep, I'm just gonna sue that guy. Like, no, it's fair use. That's not bad. He literally just made a little joke. It's just a joke, and I doubt they were offensive jokes too. They were probably like really tame jokes. Like, you probably look like Bert from Sesame Street. Credit to Charlie for that joke. Like, no, it's not. Oh, that's weird. I didn't know you can actually spit out crumbs. Alright, now let's begin the final fabrication, phase 2. No, phase 3. Guys, got that feeling. Some guy commented on the video, having a comedian that can't take jokes is like having a politician that hates lying. It's so true. A comedian trying to get jokes censored just tells everybody he's not a comedian without saying he's not a comedian. That twist. When your life is an oxymoron. Having a comedian who can't take a joke is like being an astronaut who believes the Earth is flat. God, that's actually kind of good, not gonna lie. Like, who cares? You wanna know something? Don't let people turn don't turn people's words into knives. You could completely ignore something. I might be a hypocrite for saying that. Ignore. Oh my god, like, yeah, Norgate, like electric, oh, God, my god. You can completely ignore someone's insult. And that is stronger than, if you ignore someone's insult, you're stronger than the person who insulted you. God.
Big tough guy, but he's actually a really soft, insecure, if you can believe that. So the jokes hurt his feelings, and he used another company to take down the videos that were criticizing.
I hate people that do this, that literally take and abuse the copyright systems to remove YouTube videos. There's a gold mouse nearby. Get it, save it.
It is a full-blown suing case. I'm no expert. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't or anything, but it does seem like he is going all out to fuck this man in the ass.
Get yes.
Some kind of scare tactic to.
Dude, don't ask. That's your choice. You don't have to stay. You don't have to. Yo, it doesn't matter. I have 3 golden mice. You don't have to ask me for permission. That's your choice. Stay, leave. I don't care.
So if he wins this case, he fucks himself too. It's like mutually assured destruction from an absolute goddamn supervillain idiot. It makes no sense, and I don't think anyone around Brendan Schaub is smart enough to tell him how stupid he is. And I wish I could show you some clips of Brendan Schaub and all of this going on, but I'm not going to take any chances with how fast and loose he's being with the legal system here, so I'm not going to show anything from any of his podcasts or anything he said. But what makes this situation really complicated is the fact that there's no real hero in this story. The YouTuber that's being sued is someone that I wouldn't really root for under normal circumstances. I don't want to mention their name, and I don't want anyone to harass Brendan Schaub or this YouTuber. I'm not going to mention their name, but I've seen a lot of archived live streams from their channels where a lot of very disturbing shit was happening. This individual sometimes would get drunk on stream and have incoherent ramblings and say some really fucked up and tasteless shit sometimes. And in one case in particular, I saw a clip of them leaving the stream and then arguing with their girlfriend, and it did sound like some type of domestic violence was occurring in the background. This is all alleged. legend. This is only based off of live streams that have been archived, but over the course of like the last 2 or 3 years that I was able to like look at this person, I saw a lot of people talking about frequent domestic violence on stream. I saw a lot of clips of him and his significant other constantly arguing, yelling, shouting, screaming, and just a lot of really disturbing things.
Oh my god. Well, looks like this guy's not better than the other guy too. These guys both are horrible people. God, people suck.
Like I said, his channels are down, so I can't look at his content myself and see him. I guess
Oh my god, I'm an idiot.
the uploads from his community and the community members talking streams and talking about these clips. But from what I've seen, it's some pretty fucked up things. I've seen a couple of interviews with him as well as people talking about him, and there's just a lot that is not great. Especially that clip where it does sound like he is hitting something or someone. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully that's just a complete wrong interpretation of what's happening. But I just wanted to say from everything I did.
It's a pretty grim situation.
Really not great things were talked about. It's not someone that I would be like super enthusiastic to support, but I do hope they do the case against Brendan Schaub, because Brendan Schaub is basically assaulting fucking Earth here. As these cases build up, if any of them win these absolute bogus claims in court, if any of those win, it sets that legal precedent going forward, which means other equally stupid idiots like Brendan Schaub can abuse the system the same way. So I still hope that they beat Brendan Schaub, but I recognize that they might not be a good person themselves. But yeah, I do think this is an important case, because this is only one of a handful of cases where a YouTuber goes after another YouTuber on absolute bullshit claims, and hopefully just like the previous cases with like Ethan Klein versus whatever the dude's name was, I'm already forgetting his name, hopefully this case will also result in that shit being shut down as well. Like I said, I think this was probably just supposed to be a scare tactic.
What is an Airbnb?
I think most
Creepiest Airbnb ever. What is Airbnb? I've always heard this. Breakfast and bathroom. What is it? Okay, so what I'm looking at, do people like rent their homes? What is Airbnb? In order to make their tent, the two loaned out their rooms in the apartment visiting designers. I don't know. It's an online web. I don't know what it is. It says why. What is Airbnb? It's an American company that operates an online market for lodging, primary homestays for vacation rentals and tourism activities based in San Francisco. Every company is based in San Francisco. Rivian, Airbnb. Oh my god, it's always.
By now that privacy is dead. I don't want to sound like a tinfoil hat wearing Alex Jones troglodyte or anything, but it's no secret that there's constant surveillance in the world.
The hell? What is this ad? Crack seed store near you. And it says the friendly staff at our candy store would love to help you pick the candy. I'm just not gonna click on that to avoid getting listed on a federal documents. So I'm not capping. I have no idea how the hell.
Webcams or whatever, and you can see it pretty much daily. Like if you're happens all the time to me where I'm just talking about something and then the ads mimic what I was talking about without me ever having typed it in. It's shit like that where constantly there are signs that you're most likely being looked at in some capacity. I swear to God, this conversation has a purpose beyond me just seeming like I'm having a manic episode here of like gang stalking or something. I'm not saying that we're all just guinea pigs in a universal simulation or something by alien overlords. The reason I'm talking about this is because I watched the video where a big story just came out where some Airbnb hosts were hiding hidden cameras in their houses that they were renting out.
Please
In order
don't.
to spy on the guests having sex and changing. So
No, they no.
their consent without their
No. Oh my God. Why do people do this? I wonder, in gaming terms, I wonder if that's legal? Can you do that? Not really interested though, but... Can you imagine actually doing it and then you find out that you were actually being recorded by an external source? That would send me into an emotional panic. It's a lot of birds.
I cut out the section where it showed some of the footage, but it was people either changing, getting naked, or taking a shower, something like that. He positioned multiple cameras.
Wow. I will say, I did hear one good story. This guy...
And was recently arrested for it.
Let's go, finally.
It's not to consider when it came to Airbnbs. I'm not a big traveler since I'm a pussy who's afraid of flying, but I did recently go to Texas and we stayed at an Airbnb, and the main thing I was concerned about was bed bugs. But now this really put the fear of God in me. Should I ever get another Airbnb, I'm gonna be going through that shit with a fine-tooth comb, be like Inspector Gadget, looking over every nook and cranny for any kind.
Like Hopper, how he destroys his entire house to see if there's bugs in it.
Impressive. I would have no idea. Granted, I have a tiny little power, but I would have no inkling of suspicion when it came to these devices they show.
And remember when I said earlier that cameras could be tiny, like grains of sand tiny?
Straight out of Q Laboratories.
That's not wrong. Unlike other things on the news, I believe this. I've actually seen people use these spy gadgets.
That digital alarm clock was live streaming that seamlessly with that high quality. I just don't fucking believe that. That'd be like a $50,000 camera or some shit. If you look at like courtroom footage from like court cam or something, they're transmitting in negative 240p at like 6.
No kidding. He's actually right though. Why do the feds... Dude, I swear to God, why do the feds have the worst camera quality ever? When they're recording something, like when the federal government is recording something, they have the worst quality footage. I have no idea why. Like, people actually have, like, civilians have better cameras than them. Come on, you're telling me you have a GDP more than, like, half the world and you can't spend at least, like, 0.001% of it on freaking camera equipment? That's what she said. I felt I was in the room watching her. That was who I am. Ooh.
I turned around and I see a black cube that looked like a digital clock, and I'm like, there's no. I open it up, there's a camera inside, I unplug it, and it's just like, wow, I was in shock.
You know what the scary thing is there's probably more.
The ability to just sniff out something fishy with a digital alarm clock at an Airbnb is wacky. Like, good shit. Like, that is extremely impressive. Fucking Batman wouldn't be be checking digital alarm clocks at a crime scene, let alone while just leisurely kicking back at an Airbnb. She was able to like spot something wrong with the alarm clock and confirm that, yep, it was a hidden camera. So that's great to hear. Hopefully that person behind that is also going to jail for it. And this is something that I'm now always going to have in the back of my head anytime I'm staying at like an Airbnb, or even hotels in general, because I also looked into it a bit. It's happened at hotels too, where a couple of weirdo staff members have placed hidden cameras in some hotel rooms. And it's not so much the fact that I'd be upset with them seeing my cock, it's more so the fact that I'd be upset with them seeing my classic cock. That's I really wouldn't wish that misery on even my worst enemy. Like, if you're gonna spy on me, at least spy on me when I'm like at my best, like when my wiener is performing admirably.
Oh my god.
Told us where we could view the sunrise and said, be comfortable. You guys can look at it in the nude or in your pajamas. No one's around. That moment, I thought maybe we're getting bored.
Sure enough, he says just a few hours into their stay, he discovered it. It's a little AC.
Yep, this device was.
And nope, that's not clickbait. They literally. Oh my god. That gives me anxiety.
You know this guy's guilty just for smiling.
Dude, yep. Show me the picture. Show me a picture of this man and tell me he hasn't touched somebody with questionable age. This guy looks like a straight pedophile.
Here,
This guy looks very sus.
The neurologist threw his little hidden cameras throughout his Airbnb lodge.
Ugh.
Sounds like the dumbest criminal.
Not gonna lie, it actually gives me creeps just looking at him.
Wild and wacky college kids, come over here. If you guys want to be naked, all power to you. Why not be naked?
Okay, if somebody said, hey, you can be naked in this room, be here. Okay, so I'd like my money back, sir. Can I just sign that form? And literally just goes away. Yeah, the moment you hear someone mention that BS, leave. Just for the love of God, leave.
Naked admiring the sunset is for optimal viewing. And also, please don't put any bags over by that desk over there. I need to keep that area completely clear for, spiritual reasons. Don't put any bags over there. I don't want anything obstructing that table. And don't unplug that AC adapter. No powers the entire house. Hey, have fun out there. Like, he immediately just trips all kinds of red flags for this guy to eventually find where he's being spied on from, which has now led to this guy's arrest. And he's apparently been doing this for quite some time, considering they've recovered so many images from it.
He was arrested and charged with device visual recording after police say a laptop
Nice
with
pen.
1,000 images taken inside the rental home.
2,000.
Was also listed on other property sites. Not
Not guilty. Nope. Prison. 20 plus years. Don't care. I don't care. Send him to jail.
This is a felony in the state of Texas.
evidence is overwhelming.
Included in the images that we have on the computer are images of him setting up the camera in the room.
And that was something I immediately thought of. Maybe I've been watching too much Better Call Saul, but I was trying to think of how he could possibly plead not guilty and get away with this. And the only conclusion I could draw was if they tried to blame it on one of the guests. Like, no, that hidden camera is not mine. It doesn't belong to me. It must have been one of my wild guests that came in there and just used my place as some kind of sexual hot spot without my knowledge. You know, just treat it like a boogeyman, like, oh, some kind of cryptid must have broken in, a burglar
A cryptid.
came in and installed these hidden cameras across my house. It wasn't me that did it. Because it would be kind of hard to prove that the actual...
Dude, if he actually gets away with it, I'm just gonna die.
I guess it could have been someone else, but the fact that this guy's such a fucking idiot that he recorded himself setting up the cameras makes it a pretty open and shut case, I imagine. And just like that first guy who recorded himself setting up too.
He wasn't happy to see us.
Were you secretly filming people, sir?
He gets out of his truck and takes a swipe at my mic.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye. Y'all
We're
later. Have a
behind
good
the
day.
gate.
He says all the accusations are false, calling them fake lawsuits just looking for money.
When he revved up his truck engine, I really expected him to go full Dominic Toretto and just bust through his own gate and just storm up to his house and just hang out in there to avoid being interviewed. But yeah, to my surprise, he did get out of the car and try and slap the mic out of her hand. Didn't really offer too much of an explanation for his innocence or anything, but of course, you know, he didn't have his lawyer present, so it makes sense that he wouldn't give like the most intricate of defenses or anything. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about this since I just got back from traveling, and now this has given me a little more food for thought for the next time I travel. Just maybe I'll do a little bit of a sweep through the area to see if there's any hidden cameras. But yeah, that's about it.
And probably start doing sweeps in my room. Yeah, that scares me. No?
This is a video I've debated.
God, I love that video. You gotta like how, this toy illegally spy on 6.4 million children. Oh boy.
Turkia's electronic toy maker, VTech, admitting tonight it's been
VTech.
targeted by hackers.
5 million people worldwide have had their data stolen.
Why would this hacker want, hundreds or thousands of photos of children or whatever else that they're...
Pedophilia.
Well, let's find out today. So to understand this story, we need to take it back a year. So it's Christmas morning, and you've bought both of your kids the brand new VTech InnoTab 3 learning tablet. And man, your kids are stoked. So behind the screams of joy, deep down they're going to be sleeping on the web. But more importantly, they're going to learn. Now, maybe you're not super tech savvy being a boomer and all, but at least with VTech, you can send your kids videos, photos, pictures, all from your smartphone. Don't worry, it's all age appropriate.
With VTech Kid Connect, you get the comfort of hearing each other's voice.
I love you, Mom.
Anywhere, anytime.
And for you, this tablet is just another device to add to your Wi-Fi network, like your smartwatch, your smart mug. VTech tells you that all of your data is going to be safe. But
Vendor Tech V-Bucks.
And it works for us because this toy isn't designed for security. It's designed to have fun. And what VTech failed to tell you was how much illegal data they would collect on your child, and even worse, how unsecure it all was.
That. Dude, what's it called? I'm skeptical. Fun fact, every time I'm not streaming, I always put my camera down. That's why every time when the stream turns on, that's why it's facing down. Is that I have anxiety from hackers. I don't care if PS4s are not really targeted for hacks, so they are, right? Like, probably not as much as like a normal computer. I always put them down. I always put the freaking cameras down.
Now, hacker can kind of be a cringe word, honestly. We often think of black hoodies, swing tests, Adderall, mainframes, but that's more of a Hollywood trope. You see, real hackers are interested in making a system do what it was never intended for. Hackers look for exploits. And when a group of hackers found this new VTech tablet, they did what they do best. Online forums sprung up dedicated to just hacking the InnoTab 3. One guy figured out how to run Doom on it, of course he did. Another guy popped it open and was able to get root access in the Linux operating system. And pretty soon, this children's tablet had its own little thriving hacking community all online. Now, Slipstream was a 21-year-old security researcher working for Malwarebytes, which is pretty impressive, honestly. And he knew a bit more than your average Joe when it came to finding exploits. So when he stumbled upon this VTech hacking forum, he became fascinated with the community. So he picked one up at his local store. So after a few weeks of messing around with it, he discovered the tablet talked to a website pretty often, planetvtech.com. Now, there's really nothing out of the ordinary with that, but when he checked the site, he kind of noticed a pretty big problem. Planet VTech was using Adobe Flash for its login form.
Adobe
Let's put this in perspective.
Flash
has been banished from the internet in 2020 because it is riddled with exploits and vulnerable to SQL injections. Now, for those that don't know, SQL injections are like one of the biggest security threats for a website online. But what is it? Now, let's say you fill out an online form, and instead of typing in your name like a good boy, you're a bad boy this time, and you put a piece of malicious code, a SQL injection. Now, once you hit enter, the site will take that piece of code as a command for the database rather than just a piece of data. And this allows the hacker to steal, modify, or add data to the entire database of that site. So we're talking emails, credit cards, phone numbers, passwords. Now, today there's lots of tools to protect yourself against these attacks, but at its most basic level, to perform a SQL injection, the website must have a vulnerable input page. And in that case, Adobe Flash is honestly probably the worst thing you you could possibly have. So seeing how vulnerable the site was to SQL injection, Slipstream
Yeah.
his own scripts that he had to execute SQL injections, and he could try one on the site, though if he was, he'd be committing...
You know what's interesting? I wonder how many viruses are on people's like Chromebooks from school. You gotta wonder, cause people visit so many websites. I know this.
As a 21-year-old kid...
I know this. What's it called? I kind of got upset when people were saying, "Oh, don't draw guns," even though they were literally laser blasters. When some kid was in my school looking up ammunition on his Chromebook, not his phone, privately, his freaking Chromebook. Man, I have a problem with people looking up guns.
Holy average. That was easy. What can I find?
AKA Slipstream, 21-year-old kid, had complete access to VTech's network. And he couldn't believe it, a $2 billion company with an open door to their backend. Now, at this point, Slipstream should have just left the network and alerted VTech of the security gap, and then hopefully they would have forgiven him for hacking in. But that's not, he didn't do that. Let's remember, 21-year-old half-developed brain. So he's in the network and he starts snooping around on several databases. And they're all big. I mean, we're talking gigabytes of data, which seems pretty important. Now, he didn't have time to actually look inside and see what they were, so he thought, steal now, check it later. So he clones everything he can find and then quickly disconnects planetvtech.com. Now, once the adrenaline wore off, Slipstream had just realized he had committed a federal crime, and a pretty big one at that, stealing the data of over 4,833,678 accounts. Holy hell, on the dark web, you're getting those for $65 a pop. So times that, that's $314 million. Even if he was to make 100th of that, that's a pretty nice payday. But Slipstream wasn't in it for the money. It was just his curiosity. And when that curiosity led him to take a closer look at the stolen trove of data of this thing. Because it wasn't your average data breach. It was the data of children. We're talking full names, email addresses, questions, home addresses, who their parents are, what's their address, everything. Essentially, anyone with access to this database can say, here is 7-year-old Tom Beck with his dad Mark Beck. They live at 123 Oakview Lane. His password is 456. Their security question is, what's your dog's first name? Answer, Brett. Mark Beck at hotmail.com. Pretty. But the scariest part of all of this is the thousands of messages and videos and pictures of children who had used the tablet. It was essentially the data for anyone who had ever registered with VTech, which is a $2 billion company. Now, Slipstream just couldn't believe that he had just taken the identities of children. So he had 3 choices at this point. Number 1, sell the data. Number 2, tell VTech about the security gap and maybe they'll fix it. Or number 3, tell the media about VTech's security gap and then they'll have to fix it.
Shield Bows Defense Fighter. Through the raw, u.gg/app.
A monster was attacking, but the team remained calm.
That's scary.
They could problem solve together.
Dude, how is your corporation worth $2 billion and you can't fix a simple security breach? This could probably have been fixed by a small team, yet there's large independent corporation.
Now, weeks later, Lorenzo, a reporter at Motherboard, receives an encrypted message from an unknown number. It was a hacker who wanted to remain anonymous and hand over the database of 4.8 million accounts for the children's tablet company, VTech. Now, this hacker had made it clear that he had never sold or was going to sell this data. He said, quote, I just want these issues made aware and fixed, he said. But most important of all, the hacker wanted him to break this story. Now, for Lorenzo, the hardest part wasn't writing the article about this. He needed to verify that this even happened. Because any story about a data breach could just tank the company's stock and lose them millions of dollars. So yeah, you better make damn sure that you do your due diligence on this. Now, for Lorenzo to verify this, one person came to mind, Troy Hunt. Now, he's known as the data breach expert, the creator of HaveIBeenPwned.com. It's where you can check to see if your personal data's been compromised. So this guy knows it. So Lorenzo sends him all of the VTech files, and the minute Troy opens them up, he is astounded by how bad the whole thing is. The identities of 200,000 children who are on average 7 years old, 4.8 million customer email addresses with their corresponding unencrypted passwords. Now, the passwords weren't stored in plain text, what's called hashed with MD5. Now, MD5 is a cryptography algorithm that's been broken for about 20 years, meaning that all of these passwords could be cracked easily within minutes. But then, that that didn't even matter, because the secret questions and answers for the whole password recovery were stored in plain text, meaning anyone could just reset the password and use that information for other accounts tied to that email. Now this was bad, but you needed to make sure how was this data even real, because there is a thing as fabricated data breaches. Now Troy's website, Have I Been Pwned, allows users to notify them when their emails in a data breach. Now this is like a massive repository of every data breach that has ever happened. So he cross-examined the VTech database, Have I Been Pwned database, and he finds 18 emails that have been involved. So he reaches out, and it's a pretty big stretch, and he emails them asking for some help. If they'd be willing to verify some non-sensitive data, you know, where they live at and if they had a VTech account. And all he could do now was just wait. But thank God, because within 24 hours, 6 people responded back.
Yes, that's my data. No doubt about it.
So it looked like all the signs were pointing to this data being. But it even gets worse, because even though there were tens of thousands of children's photos and video files, they were all encrypted, that same database they were in had decryption keys for all of it, meaning it didn't even
Wait.
matter. So...
Okay, so in English terms, you basically it's like leaving the keys. It's like a what's it called? It's like a car dealership leaving the keys behind an unlocked door to a shed outside of their building with a sign saying, "Hey, there's keys in here. Don't steal. Happy face." And yeah, they don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to pay, Aaron.
Lorenzo can get the full confidence that this breach, the whole thing happened, now in the mission of trying to tell VTech about this incident. And I say mission because you think for a $2 billion company, that'd be a little bit easy. No, emails referring them to this guy, telling him to call here, telling me a voicemail over here, back and forth. And then finally, after a couple of days, he finally got a hold of someone. They said, on November 14th, an unauthorized party accessed our VTech customer data on our Learning Lodge App Store customer database, and we were not aware of this unauthorized access until you alerted us. Wow, that's how bad it was. They didn't even know that it even happened. So just days later, November 27th, VTech then sends out this super watered-down press release telling everyone about the hack, but they never mentioned how many accounts were compromised, that nothing was even encrypted, or that even their kids' data was involved.
Bruv.
Because the next day, Motherboard releases their article about the breach, reveals what actually happened, and man, people were pissed.
The hackers took names, personal details, pictures children had uploaded, and chat messages between them and their parents. The only good news is the hacker doesn't seem to want to publish any of it.
Photos in the chat log. It's really unsettling.
This guy could have done a lot of damage.
One thing that parents should know about this hack.
Probably everything that is given to VTech has been compromised.
Front page news around the world. Everyone was running the story. They were just dumbfounded that a children's toy company would make such a stupid mistake when it came to the data of their kids.
Oh
now,
my
VTech had
God.
to make a tough choice because they were going to shut down all of their App Store platforms for all of their toys for 2 months to fix the servers. Imagine if you bought a toy that did not work for 2 months. You'd be pissed. But it even gets worse. This part's insane. So the day after they stated they got hacked, they said the hack was actually way worse than anyone ever said. That those 200,000 accounts of kids, it was actually 6 million children that were hacked. So for those 2 months,
Whoa.
the VTech servers were down.
That's like the majority of the children of the United States. That's a lot of people.
You acknowledge and agree that any information you send or receive during your use of this site may not be secure and may be intercepted or later acquired by unauthorized parties. In other words, if VTech ever gets hacked again, it's the customers have no ground for complaining because they already said it wasn't secure. Like, how is that? So then at that point, the government started to ask questions, because you can't be saying stuff like this about their security. Senators were writing public letters asking if they sold the data to anyone, or did they collect data on kids that were under 12. Okay, real quick, so while I'm editing this video,
Copa. I just realized this probably has something to do with Copa.
strangely enough, had his own data leaked on the internet later.
Children's Online Protective
Photos and text messages.
Act.
God, he's a simple. Let's just say Joe Martin isn't a senator anymore. Because VTech didn't just violate their customers, they violated COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule. And the
Got
government
it.
said that, number one, they failed to encrypt the data of 6 million children. And then number two, they never told the parents that their children's data would even be collected, which is insane to think about today. For a company as big as VTech, $2 billion, the FTC would settle with them for $650,000. Or to put it a little differently, 10 cents a child. That's what your child's data is worth to the government. But the best part is VTech didn't have to admit or deny any wrongdoing. Just a real slap on the wrist. So what's VTech up to these days? Well, they're killing it. They just came out with their Kitty Buzz 3 phone, baby monitors, webcams for kids. They're doing just fine. Would I buy anything from them? Probably not. Now, Slipstream had laid low after he talked to Lorenzo, and kinda no one really heard from him. And then just 29 days after this whole ordeal, the English police finally tracked down and arrested a 21-year-old man and seized all of his assets. His crime? Hacking into VTech. Now, the police at the time didn't even state his name or even show a photo of him. But the story doesn't end here, because through that unknown hacker Slipstream, well, today we actually know his name. Samus Clark. Now, 1 year after the hack, now at 22 years old, the English police stated he was given a formal adult caution. Now, don't worry, I had to look it up. I don't know what it was either. It's like the first time offense where you admit guilt, but you're not prosecuted. Pretty much let off the hook. And honestly, he got pretty lucky, because even if VTech had no valid excuse for being born from the SQL injection, like no one really does today, just a hacker accidentally causing damage to where they had to shut down all of their servers for 2 months and lose out on millions of dollars, they could have proven that. See, a good analogy for what he did is he brought a loaded gun to the TSA checkpoint and fired it off into the air. He didn't harm anyone, but he still committed a crime. Now, you would think that getting a slap on the wrist and a chance at life again would be some kind of deterrent from illegally hacking people. But no. So just 2 years later, Slipstream gained access into Microsoft's internal servers where he stole over 43,000 confidential files. We're talking confidential copies of pre-release Windows, betas of games, the works. And then he uploaded a piece of malware onto the network, and then he was arrested a week later in June 2017. Now, Clark was bailed out immediately, but he was given no computer restrictions, and then guess what he did? He went to go hack into the Nintendo internal network, and he stole 2.5 terabytes from Nintendo. We're talking leaked games, source codes. It is the biggest leak ever to happen from Nintendo. But the craziest thing is he was never incarcerated because he's autistic and they were concerned of that making him a target while he was in prison. So, 24 years old, Samus Clark, Slipstream, would admit to hacking into Nintendo and Microsoft and stealing confidential information. So in the middle of editing this video, I kept coming across these North Korean PowerPoints about surveillance technology, but the craziest thing was Slipstream's name was credited in all of them, along with his Twitter handle. Now, I thought this didn't really make sense. I mean, Slipstream is from England, like what the hell would he know about North Korea? So I contacted one of the researchers on this PowerPoint, and they led me to an article from 2015. Now, a North Korean news agency interviewed Slipstream, and you may be wondering why. Because Slipstream hacked into North Korea in 2015.
Oh my god.
Now, he didn't just hack in. He went in and he stole the only version that we have ever seen of Red Star OS, which is like their operating system that they have. Now, let me put this in perspective on how absolutely insane this is. People would have only seen screenshots of this operating system. No one had ever seen a copy until Slipstream hacked in and stole it and put it out there for everyone for free to download. Absolutely.
This guy is, no offense, this guy is an autistic crackhead.
Real quick, he hacked into VTech. He then hacked into Microsoft and stole 43,000 confidential files. He then hacked into Nintendo and caused the biggest data leak in Nintendo's history. And then he hacked into North Korea and stole their operating system. All
Oh my god.
So Slipstream, if you're
24!
what you did, but god damn, is that impressive. Now, times are really changing.
I mean, hey, he's a hacker. Yeah, I give him not that hacker's bad. There's white hand hackers. You gotta give it to him. Kudos, man.
Habits, patterns, fingerprints, walking speed. And the scariest thing about all of this is that biometric data carries a new level of risk. Unlike passwords, you can't just change your fingerprint once you've been compromised. Now, companies state that our data is the most valuable asset for them. But when there's a data breach nearly every week due to horrendous security, it's like they don't even care. Because if they really did care, they would do everything they could to protect it.
Exactly. God. Kid is literally like, what, 24? Autistic? Literally just... How did he do it? Honestly, just give him a raise, dude. I'd offer him a job, honestly. I'd be careful about it, just offer him a job at like a cybersecurity, because if this guy can break into North Korea, I have no idea what else he can do. And these kids' channels are still horrifying. Here's why. Dude, Coco. Oh my God, there's more stuff. I almost want to point. I don't want to be toxic, but I almost point the finger at Coco Melon. And there's that stuff for Oh, and there's mining pants. I almost point the finger at them for stealing views, dude. Most of the people that watch YouTube are probably kids, and the fact that they're probably stealing videos is, or no, stealing views is stupid behemoths. And also, also, screw you 5-minute crafts. Get them banned. Oh yeah, right, you won't because they make you money, YouTube.
Dangerous and nightmarish children's content.
Can I just be right now? I want to be open and I want to be honest. I'm so glad I grew up in the time I did. I grew up in the time, and I know. And there's probably gonna be some person like, we used to use VHS, or no, we used to use like freaking like Delnet. No, I'm not that old. I know I'm not that old, but I still feel old right now. But homie, I grew up at the time where you had a Sony DVD player. If you hit it, it went plat, it went clang, clang, clang. It sounded like a pan if you hit it with a bat. That's what it sounded like. And it had like a 6-slot. We have a 6-slot Sony, and when you loaded in the DVD, it'd play ads, and like 1 out of 10 of your CD discs would have a corrupted spot where it would always glitch out. Oh my God, I'm so glad I grew up that. I'm so glad my mom didn't make me watch like Coco Melon or that stuff. Thank God I did not get brainwashed.
That is unfortunately nothing.
Dude, I'm sorry. I feel bad for the kids that grew up past 2010. They don't know nostalgia. Even though I'm only almost 17, I feel nostalgic towards like CD discs. Dude.
It was a pretty hot topic. Remember the onslaught of Spider-Man and Elsa videos? The surprise eggs, the finger families.
Thank God I did not get recommended that BS.
Content from existing TV shows and people raking in millions and millions of dollars while putting in as little effort as possible. And of course, who can forget the many, many, many controversies?
Elsagate?
Like I said, this was a very heavily discussed topic a few years ago, but since then, the conversation has kind of fallen off. But here's the thing, it's still going on, and I'm gonna tell you how it might devolve even further. Years ago, it was pretty much free range as to what you could upload on YouTube for children to see. Sure.
Oh, look at the babies.
Things like the YouTube Kids app came out, and it became mandatory to utilize the built-in kids specification.
Okay, can I just please say this? I hate that feature. I'm afraid if I put it not made for kids, it's gonna be put in the same lines as like really bad content. Because the thing is, if you put made for kids, it will delete all your comments. You cannot put comments. So even though when I upload videos and it says made for and not made for kids, you can still watch it. I just want the I want the comments. YouTube, you need to make like what's it called? Yes, it's for kids. It's like no, not made for kids, but not made. Or how about this? Like, what is that stopping? I could upload a kid's video, make it hit not made for kids, and stop You're not stopping anything.
When uploading video, but the checks and balances still prove themselves to be not enough to stop some of the worst content this platform has seen. This epidemic of YouTube Kids content couldn't have really been started without building upon the once unregulated foundation. Now, we'll get into some of the most deranged and unsettling controversies this genre had to offer later on, but for now, let's focus on one aspect of this rabbit hole that is somehow relatively tame compared to everything else that has come through in the past few years. I'm of course talking about the sheer amount of views these videos get. Channels with tens of millions of subscribers, view counts in the billions, and of course, all the revenue that comes along with it. Well, I'm here to explain it all. One of the main questions that's in everybody's head when they begin to learn about this whole other side of YouTube is, how do these videos get so many views?
Same. Baby Shark literally has 8 billion. That's more than like Shining Lights. That's more than like On the Floor. That's more than a lot of my favorite videos combined. That's 8 billion. That is how many people are on this freaking earth. Almost 8 billion. That is 8 million times 1,000. That is a lot of people. That is literally, like what, 7 times the amount of people in freaking China.
My kid watches the same thing over and over. And well, this is the correct explanation.
She pooped last time for now,
Yes.
so I cleaned it up.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I just don't know how to.
Just take a minute to think about the whole world from a small child's perspective. They're learning a million new things every single day, a constant barrage of information, and what seems to be a never-ending amount of unfamiliar experiences. Unpredictability can often cause stress and fear. Repetition gives children an escape, the feeling that the world is a predictable and safe place. When kids can predict what will happen next and validate their expectations, they feel empowered and have the confidence that they know that they can at least control a little bit of this world that is still quite chaotic. This is the same reason why many children's television programs can have fewer total episodes produced, but run for an incredibly long lifespan relative to other shows with the same amount of episodes or even more episodes, due to the children's shows having repeated airings that continue to garner a high viewership. And this strategy pretty much goes the exact same for YouTube, but at an even more accelerated pace. As most of us know, views equal money. And while the range of revenue differs for like every YouTuber, and it even gets more complicated with kids channels due to like the FTC and COPPA, it's a pretty common estimate that kids channels will get $1 to $2 for every 1,000 views. And you're like, whoa, that may not sound like a
No, but then for a million, that's like $1,000 to $2,000 per million views, and these things can get like hundreds of mil.
It isn't hard to see why someone like Ryan's World, a 10-year-old boy, still remains one of the richest YouTubers on the platform, with an estimated $250 million in merchandise.
Christ. Dude. Okay, for example, if I'm not wrong, I think I heard somewhere that the president gets paid like, what, $800,000 a year? This guy is probably raking in more than the president's salary. This guy is making more than your entire family's salary combined, and I have no problem with that. I'm just saying, like, how? I mean, I'm freaking 16, shouldn't I be? Oh, there's Monday Minor. I have no idea.
Development to this specific genre of content we're seeing as they get 40% of the cut, and why a lot of parents will often force their cute, one-of-a-kind child with talent into this field.
Oh, look, I know your son has talent.
But this raises another concern.
Parental abuse?
Brian's World is, of course, a frequent topic.
He actually has... Exactly, he's got like controversy or something.
I've ever seen. Where was I? Okay, yeah, he was the first one to really make enough of a wave to reach mainstream media outlets. Talking about the impact of his channel and the amount of traction he was gaining, as well as the business articles talking about just how much money the kid was making. But this is really where the controversy surrounding Brian's World stems from. The big question being, is Brian being used, manipulated, and exploited by his parents for their personal financial gain?
Who knows? It's advertising me a Steam game.
You know, it's easy to look at this empire that Ryan and mainly his parents have built, see through the cracks, and realize this can't all be sunshine and happiness for Ryan all the time. People say he could be overworked, possibly mistreated. Their relationship with his parents could easily deteriorate over time and become more about business than family. But from a complete outsider's perspective, it seems as if Ryan isn't really under any strict regime from his parents. He doesn't seem to have been forced into doing this or doing anything along those lines.
No, Sky.
Just because a kid is being recorded by their parents doesn't immediately mean that the kid is being held at gunpoint. In all honesty, I think Ryan is way smarter than we think. Granted, he's had to grow up fast, or whether that's a good or a bad thing is up to you. But this kid is so far ahead that it almost seems as if he's putting on a kid persona in his videos, acting like a kid instead of just being a kid. This kid's too old for any of that now. Look how he talks in this CBS interview. He's cool, calm, collected. It's like he's media trained. He might as well be smoking a cigar. According to Ryan himself, he was the one who wanted to start this whole thing in the first place.
When I was young, I was watching other people, and I was like, why am I not? I started lying.
Oh my god, fine. Oh my god. Are you still there? I did not know I had my mic muted. We're about 3/4 of the way down.
To have an exit from the shelter to have an amazing life with a family, that it's like, no, we'll just euthanize them instead. That's a really weird stance to take, but that's yours, I guess. Now, PETA seems to go too far in the
Kinda
opposite
hate.
direction of the no-kill movement. While many activists like Winograd seem entirely opposed to euthanasia under almost any circumstance, PETA truly believes that killing animals is an act of mercy. In some extremely sick cases, perhaps it is, but to act like a majority of animals in their care just want to die, pardon my language, as I've clearly just gone off the rails here the past couple minutes being very heated by this, but this shit is fucked up. The way that PETA depicts themselves as some merciful savior by granting these animals
No
death
kidding.
in the real world, why not show them
I hope this lady no clips into the back rooms in her sleep.
your gigantic tens of millions of dollars in that fucking budget you get every month to campaign for giving these animals homes, instead of frivolous lawsuits and garbage campaigns full of bikinis. Oh, more on that in just a minute. Now, I know the subject of animal welfare and curbing the population via euthanasia and all isn't completely black and white. I'm willing to hear other perspectives, absolutely. But when PETA has an adoption rate of 2.5%, which, by the way, is compared to that of 97% of APA, you can't tell me they really care about animals having a happy, beautiful life. The idea of Newkirk being a nurse killing her patients doesn't seem that far off. I know when I originally kind of said that statement, and I was like, maybe it's a little strange. But then when you start putting this all together, you go, is it that unbelievable, though? And I'm like, I don't know. I almost start to agree with it a little bit. But don't despair. Let me end this section on a high note. Euthanasia rates at shelters are plummeting. More and more people are adopting rescue animals, and the awareness months started by
I'm so glad we adopted this guy. We saved her.
programs are having an impact. The president and chief executive of the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, Matt Bershaker, said that rescuing an animal has become a badge of honor. The stigma around rescues has improved, and more programs have been formed that help resolve problems like landlord disputes over keeping pets and unaffordable vet care. Of course, there is still more work to be done, and we should continue to support these programs, but at least there are signs of real change. Yet what I find particularly telling is that nowhere in this article, this very lengthy 2019 article all about euthanasia rates, is PETA brought up. You'd think that after all they claim to do for animals, that they'd at least be mentioned for contributing to such a victory. But they're not. And that, I believe, says quite a bit about PETA. But let's move on to what PETA does actually do. Let's talk about those campaigns.
I'm gonna eat lunch soon.
PETA has run a number of campaigns that have plenty of shock factor, but fail to actually send any message. They often use sexual imagery, like one old advertisement that featured Joanna Krupa posing nude with crucifix over her crotch and breasts.
God, I hate people that do this. What? I definitely will.
Catholic Church did, or just
animals.
The same thing could be said of their advertising to Pizza Anderson, labels that show where a cat will be on
Feet, leg. Whoa, I didn't. Yo, guys, look. Chest, head, nose, mouth, arms, hand, finger, foot, leg. I like how they're activated. All animals have the same parts. Whoa! Isn't that like what, I don't know, most carbon-based life forms have in common? I didn't know. Oh, shoot. Well, what? Did they actually pose in KKK costumes? Did they seriously do that? Oh my god. What? Save the whales. Who's the blubber go vegetarian? Oh yeah, right. I remember why I really hate them, because the literally people, literally PETA. Milk gives you ASD. Milk gives. Oh my god, stupid mic. Milk gives you autism. Literally the kid here that sits here that has literally drank and eaten or consumed dairy products literally every day for literally 8 effing years and literally yeah, definitely it did give me that. Then why is my condition somewhat actually getting better? Look at this, homie. 8 years ago I didn't know anything. Now I'm starting to know a little bit about theoretical physics. I'm starting to learn a little bit from wormholes. I know a lot about chemistry, biology. Actually not about biology. I kind of suck. Homie, I'm smarter than anybody at PETA will ever be. They are several levels below me. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat my lunch. I'll probably stream later. I'm gonna go